They offered her historic money, the kind of figure that was supposed to silence every critic, calm every storm, and signal to the world that the WNBA had finally stepped into its long-awaited new era. $1 million salary sat on the table, wrapped in publicity, promoted as a breakthrough, and pushed as the deal that would prove the league was ready to invest in its stars. But instead of celebrating a turning point, the league triggered an earthquake. The moment Caitlin Clark and the Players Association rejected the offer, everything the WNBA believed it had secured collapsed in seconds. What should have been a triumphant milestone instantly became the spark that exposed years of frustration, tension, and mismanagement simmering beneath the surface. And just weeks later, with the pressure reaching levels the league could no longer contain, Cathy Engelbert stepped down. Her resignation wasn't just a headline. It was a symbol. A warning. A signal that the old system had finally reached its breaking point. This wasn't a simple negotiation gone wrong. It was the moment the balance of power in women's basketball shifted forever. Behind closed doors, the league truly believed the new CBA offer was the crown jewel they needed to bring stability to the future. $1 million earning structure. Bonuses. Upgraded travel. Improvements the league had resisted for years suddenly wrapped in a glossy package and presented as a revolution. Owners expected applause. Analysts anticipated an immediate signature. Fans believed they were witnessing the first true step toward closing the gender pay gap. But the players didn't see progress. They saw a distraction. They saw a polished band-aid stretched thin over a broken foundation. And when Clark, the league's brightest star, the economic engine reshaping the sport, walked away without hesitation, the message could not have been louder. The athletes no longer wanted an improved allowance. They wanted a share of the kingdom they were helping build. The WNBA's new media rights deal, over $2 billion secured for the next decade, changed everything. Suddenly the league wasn't the underdog clinging to survival. It was a rising powerhouse. A business with massive upside. And the players, for years told to be patient, to wait for sustainable growth, to trust the process, realized they were being offered a fixed ceiling at the very moment the league's financial value was skyrocketing. The CBA proposal wasn't a breakthrough. It was a trap. A way to lock players into a long-term deal before the revenue explosion forced owners to share the wealth. The athletes saw it immediately, especially those who understood the economics of modern sports. And Caitlin Clark's refusal transformed their quiet frustration into a unified stand. Her rejection wasn't impulsive or emotional. It was strategic, calculated, timed perfectly with the momentum she brought to the league. She had shifted the financial landscape in a single season. She had sold out arenas nationwide. She had broken viewership records previously thought impossible. And when someone with that level of influence rejects an offer, it forces the entire system to confront its flaws. The WNBA believed it held leverage. Clark proved the opposite. The players didn't need $1 million salary. They needed a model that matched the profitability they were generating. Suddenly the owners realized they weren't negotiating from a position of strength but from a position of fear. And the entire structure Cathy Engelbert had built began to crack. Her resignation may look like a graceful exit from the outside, but internally it was a collapse years in the making. Tension had been rising long before this CBA battle. It began with the travel scandals where players were split between commercial flights and occasional charters that seemed to favor specific franchises. It deepened with the prioritization rule that forced veterans to choose between their overseas income and staying eligible for the WNBA season. But the moment that truly fractured trust was her infamous interview where she failed to defend her own players in the face of racism and harassment. Instead of protecting them, she pivoted into a corporate monologue about rivalries and marketing, words that felt cold, scripted, and disconnected from the reality these athletes lived every day. For the players, that moment confirmed something they had suspected for years. Their commissioner didn't understand them. And once that trust was gone, everything else began to crumble. The CBA rejection was merely the final blow. But the crisis didn't unfold in a vacuum. Beneath all of this, a new force was rising. Unrivaled, the player-created league founded by Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. For decades the WNBA operated with the confidence of a monopoly. If players wanted to stay in the US, it was the only game in town. But Unrivaled shattered that illusion instantly. It offered something the WNBA had never seriously considered: equity, shares, ownership, respect baked into the structure from day one. Six-figure earnings for a few weeks of play. Transparent revenue sharing. Creative freedom. For the first time in history, players had a real alternative. And once athletes realized they had power outside the WNBA's walls, They began pushing back harder than ever before. Owners panicked. Discussions shifted from negotiation to survival. A lockout wasn't just a possibility, it was a looming disaster. With the league finally grabbing mainstream attention, a lost season could destroy everything. Every owner understood that if Engelbert remained in charge, no deal would ever be signed. She had lost the players, lost the locker room, and now lost the trust of the league's most important figure. Caitlin Clark's quiet refusal to support the offer sent a chilling message. Without her, public sentiment would never side with ownership. Without her, negotiations could never move forward. Without her, the season itself might collapse. And so Engelbert's resignation became inevitable. A forced reset disguised as a professional transition. A move designed to calm investors, reassure fans, and convince players that the league was ready to evolve. But removing her didn't solve the crisis. It only opened a door to a new chapter filled with uncertainty, pressure, and stakes higher than anything the WNBA has ever faced. Because now the league stands without a commissioner at the exact moment it needs leadership the most. The next person to take the role will inherit a battlefield. A looming labor war. A rising rival league. A union more powerful and unified than ever. And a superstar whose influence now rivals that of legends in other sports. The WNBA can no longer hide behind corporate optimism. It must confront its identity, its values, and the economic realities shaping its future. Everything is on the line. Caitlin Clark's rejection was not just a contract decision. It was a declaration. A line in the sand. A message that the athletes who built this league will no longer settle for crumbs in an era defined by billions. Her influence reshaped the league overnight. And Engelbert's resignation marks the end of one era and the volatile dawn of another. Before you go, what do you think happens next? Will the WNBA embrace a new model that finally honors the player's value, or will this crisis deepen before it gets better? And who should lead the league into this pivotal moment? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown powerful and eye-opening, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more deep dive coverage into the evolving world of sports and its biggest stories.